you think about? It's gonna be hot today, bud. You better not go chasing. Better not go do a chase. You're gonna be in trouble if you do a chase. Buongiorno. Welcome to the jungle. It gets worse here every day. I cannot make sushi. No. I don't eat sushi. And I don't care to make it either. And the wind cried, Polly. Wow, wow, wow. Oh, the jungle! Welcome to the jungle! Knees, knees. I wanna watch you bleed. Oh, thank you, Cloud Massacre. Yeah, goofy, fuck you. You look tired, Paul. I hope you're doing okay. I look tired? Wake up, Paul Zigo! No, I probably am a little tired. I woke up about half an hour ago, maybe like 40 minutes ago. I probably am a little tired. I got coffee here, though. I'll be fine. Yay, coffee. Yay, coffee. Red Robin. Yum. Is Red Robin actually yum? I've never had it. It's pretty good, yeah, dude. The best thing about Red Robin is the bottomless fries. When you get a hamburger, you get like your little side of fries, but if you finish, you can just go like, excuse me, waitress, I need some more fries. And she'll bring you a whole basket of fries out. You eat all those, she bring you another one. That's the dopest thing about Red Robin right there. The bottomless beer battered fries. Some 140 milligram edibles. Damn. I remember I was with an ex one time and we went out to eat at Red Robin and we got jalapeno poppers and she got like a fucking second-degree burn on her lip because she tried to eat a popper and like the whole jalapeno came out and with all the cheese and shit, it just like burned her fucking lips. We could have sued. Yeah, Red Robin's cool. I mean, it's not like you got to know what you're getting yourself into, you know. It's a hamburger and french fries, so you know, if that's what you go in there expecting, it's good. I don't know about Five Guys, dude. I don't know about Five Guys. I'm gonna be real with you guys about Five Guys. Five Guys is greasy, 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 greasy. Not that that's a problem, but everything about Five Guys is just grease. They give you the greasiest burger, the greasiest fries, and like you know, once again, I'm not going to complain about something being greasy, but by the same token, yeah, I lived in Texas for a hot minute, dude. I've eaten a lot of Whataburger. I ate a lifetime worth of Whataburger in the couple of years, or just under a couple of years I lived in Texas. The sloppy toppy jalopy. Yeah, you shouldn't like look down in your bag of fries and see your reflection glistening on the front, dude. Yeah, dude. That's what I'm saying. Like Five Guys, like your burger is wet and greasy. I know a lot of people do. A lot of people love Five Guys. I'm not trying to poop on it. I'm just telling you my personal like experience with Five Guys was greasy, 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 and greasy. Whataburger fries are meh. I mean, yeah, they're fries. We just came to see about getting some French fries and gravy, sir. Upton Sinclair, yeah. He wrote today's stream. Nah, dude. Nah. Crab Rangoon. Yeah. Crab Rangoon is good. Not gonna lie about that. Crab Rangoon with a good fucking sweet and sour to dip in. Oh my goodness. Step out of my way. Excuse me, that crab rangoon was not ordered for the party. That was just me. Crab rangoon. The more you know, NBC is sponsoring today's stream. That's right, Cracklow. That's right. I'm going to put Amelia on the spot when she comes out here. You ready? Crab rangoon, baby.
Yeah.
Yes or no?
No, it can be good. It's easy to fuck up.
That's true. I have had a couple of bad crab rangoons.
It's like calamari. It's like calamari's good when it's good, but it fucking sucks when it's not.
True dat. Five Guys.
I've done Five Guys.
We did a lot of Five Guys. What was your overall impression of Five Guys?
Just a little bit higher on the greasy scale than I like.
Yeah. We were just talking about it, see? We were just talking about the fucking Five Guys and the bag of grease. I've done Five Guys. Wait a minute. Somebody caught that. I've done Five Guys. Fuddruckers? I don't think I've ever had a Fuddrucker. I've seen them. I don't think I've ever been to a Fuddrucker. How do you feel about In-N-Out fries? I like them. They're made fresh right there, dude. They put the fucking... You can watch them as you pull through the drive-thru in some of the locations of... what you call it? No, I forgot the goddamn name. In-N-Out.
I'm trying to think. There's definitely one chain that I like that you probably never get, which is like Arby's. I'll do that sometimes.
I like Arby's.
Yep.
It just... We haven't lived near an Arby's in forever. But I like Arby's. Yeah. I'll do an Arby's. Like beef and cheddars... I'll get like 3 beef and cheddars, and that's a meal for me. I don't even need fries when I go to Arby's. I don't like their fries anyway. They've got like kind of floppy, curly fries that are pretty greasy, but like I'll get 3 beef and cheddars and a bunch of Arby's sauce. Call it a day. Why not? That's good shit.
Yeah, I just don't think you've ever said your opinion on Arby's.
Yeah, we've never been able to order from it. I don't think.
Yeah.
We've never stopped at one, but. I dig an Arby's. I know that they've, like, since I was a kid, back when I was, like, a teenager and in my 20s, Arby's was, like, stoner food. Because you'd go and get, like, 10 beef and cheddars and take them back to the party and everybody just eat a couple. But now they've done like this whole sandwich thing now too. They've got like these like grinder sandwiches and shit. I don't
Yeah,
get
I think
those.
White Castle took their spot on fucking stoner small sandwiches.
Yeah, that's probably true. I mean, there's a number of stoner options.
Yeah, but
The
I think White Castle has the tiny hamburgers on lock.
yeah,
now.
they got that for sure. But first time I went to LA, I saw a Fat Burger and regret not eating there. Fat Burger is wonderful. There used to actually be, excuse me, goddamn you, weed. There used to actually be a Fat Burger in Fresno, and that closed up and became another great burger joint, which is another like rare franchise to see, a small franchise, which is Colorado Grill. Colorado Grill is dope. Fat Burger is dope. If you ever get a chance to go to either one of those, I recommend that you go. For me, Colorado Grill actually better than Fat Burger. They've got the double boulder. That's what you get when you go to Colorado Grill. You get a double boulder. And you go home and you eat it, and then you go into a complete coma. You fall immediately into a carb/meat coma. And then you wake up feeling horrible, and then you go back next week and you get it again. That's the shit. That is the shit. Food comas are great. I mean, they can feel good, but you hardly ever wake up from one feeling good. Like, you're not supposed to like eat a giant amount of like carbs and sugar and shit and then like go to sleep on it.
You can.
You can, but you're not supposed to. It's not good for you. But you can, yeah.
I've done it probably too many times.
Me too. Yeah, I'm not trying to judge for sure. I'm just as guilty as the next, but I almost always regret a food coma. I just went on a date with a girl that literally got up and left because I suggested some people might not want to date people from a different race. Am I racist for making that suggestion? No. I don't know why
It's definitely a weird thing to bring up during a date.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how that came up contextually during a date, but who you're attracted to is not something you have control over. And the psychology behind being attracted to people who are within your own racial group is not inherently racist in nature. It's just...
Yeah, but I totally understand why that chick got up, because it's a weird
But yeah,
date question.
it really is. And it could belie like some problematic fucking idea in your head. It's
depending
definitely...
on what context it came up
Yeah.
in, for sure.
It's definitely not something that I would want to hear out of somebody on a first date. You know?
So take
Yeah.
that as a lesson, bro.
Yeah.
Keep anything remotely like political like that a little bit.
Yeah,
For later.
coddle it a little bit. You know what I mean? You don't have to necessarily lie about it, but kind of steer the conversation away from that type of contention. Because when you're first meeting somebody, that is not the time to come out with your biggest hot takes. You know what I mean? It just really isn't. It doesn't mean that you lie to them about what you are. It just means that like you're getting to know each other on a more fundamental level.
Yeah, and if that person is the race that you're attracted to, which seems like it should be obvious, then I don't know why that would come up.
I mean, maybe it cycled through the conversation or somehow, but even then, like the way that you put it, I don't know, man.
We're trying to do dating advice, not police your language.
Yeah, I'm not telling you don't say what you think or that there's fundamentally a problem with what you said. I'm just telling you, like, dating wise, I would have veered a hard left at that conversation. I would have found a way to fucking make that conversation into something else, because that's just, you know, people get worked up about politics and identity shit, right? Yeah. You don't, I mean, you always have had to be ultra careful in that specific instance. Like a first date, that's like ultimate getting to know you shit, right? So you're not necessarily trying to find out a person's fucking politics on a first date. You're trying to find out, like, what kind of person are you? What do you, like, what's the fundamental spark at the center of you. And if you're on a first date and you go like, I think it's fine that some people don't want to date black people, I mean, or however you put it, whether that's fucking wrong or not, if that's what's at the core of you, why is somebody gonna want to fucking hang around,
I mean, you can get around the first date like we did by just talking for like a month before
Well,
meeting.
that's different. We did not start dating in a traditional manner.
Yeah.
And that's
But, like,
how a lot of
the
relationships
out
happen.
Of, like the awkward first date,
Right.
is to just talk to someone for a long time before
Right.
meeting them.
But that's like, you can't. Here's the problem.
Yeah.
A lot of people will try and engineer a friendship into a relationship, and that's horrible.
Yeah.
It's not It's not like horrible or exploitative, but it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Like if I were to come to you or you would have come to me the way we came to each other, right?
Yeah.
Which is like, hey, I've got a boyfriend. I'm not really looking for any kind of long-term thing, but we can be friends and we can, fool around every once in a while or whatever the fuck. If I had come to you straight out pushing relationship, you would have been like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And I didn't want it either. See, it's just like we naturally, like that's another way that relationships develop is like friendships happen and then mutual interest happens and then one person says they cop feelings and then the other person says I cop feelings too, and but that's not traditional dating.
Yeah.
When you're talking about dating, you're going on a first date with somebody. It's like you gotta be careful, man. There's a lot of traps. There's a lot of traps and pitfalls on the first date. Not traps. I didn't mean traps.
You mean like
I meant
tripping hazards?
Yes.
That's probably the better way.
things that you could fall head first into. Like I think it's cool to exclude black and Mexican people from your dating pool. It's like saying a lot of cuss words and then say you're for freedom of speech. Right. It's like, right. You have to understand that socializing is not necessarily just being yourself 100% of the time, all the time.
So he's saying now that like she was a lawyer, so there was a heavy politics discussion. It's not even my position. It just went there. It's like if it's not even your position.
I don't know. It sounds to me like you got your ass cross-examined.
Yeah.
Which may not have even been your fault. You got put on the goddamn witness stand, which is probably how she vets her fucking prospective mates, and you got caught in a fucking... You got caught in... She didn't like the way you answered one of her questions.
Yeah.
And so she moved to strike you from the record. Now I'm starting to feel like something else happened. You got yourself cross-examined and you folded as a witness and she's out of there.
Yeah. It's probably not the time to be devil's advocate during a date either.
No. That's what people say though, just be yourself, bro. Right, but being yourself doesn't mean that you treat somebody that you just met like they're your best friend and you reveal every little secret and every little idiosyncrasy about you. That's not being yourself. That's oversharing, which is what we're talking about here. Everybody's got idiosyncrasies. Everybody's got opinions that can be unpopular. Those things pale in comparison to the type of bond that people develop about their fundamental similarities. Mm-hmm. So when they come out later on in the dating cycle, they almost become funny.
Yeah.
Right?
Like you don't open up with, hey, I pee in the shower.
Right. The little idiosyncrasies about yours or those are the fun things that you learn about each other as you date, you know what I mean? It's not, you don't wear that shit on your sleeve because it's not necessarily it's not an aid of anything, right? Everybody's fucked up a little bit, and you can't hide it completely, but you don't want to go wearing it on your sleeve, you know? The be yourself advice isn't good for every situation, honestly. That's what we're talking about here. And there's different ways to be yourself, too. Like, yourself is capable of keeping certain opinions of yours on the DL. Yourself is capable of reading the social situation, right? or at least learning about it and learning how to read it. But yeah, dude, as far as the prompt for this, I feel like now that you've given a little more context, I feel like you just got cross-examined, and I feel like it's probably more on her than you.
Yeah.
She came to the date. This is probably how she dates people.
Mm-hmm.
She comes to the date and she basically grills them, and if they don't meet whatever intellectual barrier she has set up, for whatever reason, she walks. Nothing you can do about that,
I mean, fucking more power to her if that's the way she wants to do it.
I mean, personally, I don't think that's a great way to find somebody you vibe with, but hey, I can't.
That's your standard,
right?
Then.
She's a lawyer, she knows what she
She's
wants.
probably gonna just end up with another lawyer with that tactic, probably.
I would imagine. She's looking for somebody that can argue with her.
Yeah.
As a lawyer, she's looking for somebody that can couch their arguments. Not just somebody who has opinions, but somebody that has facts to back those opinions. So, she'll probably end up with a lawyer or a politician or, some kind of adjacent, high-level PR corporate person. My girlfriend and I had sex within the first 2 hours, and we're still together after 3 years. Well, see, that doesn't matter, though. It's like you had sex within the first 2 hours of meeting, or you had sex within the first 2 hours of,
being in person.
Being in person or dating.
To him. Shit
right.
beforehand.
You just saw each other and fucked and then got together? How does that work? You met at a party, you hooked up. There are different ways that people meet.
Yeah.
Is the point.
Oh, Tinder?
Tinder. Okay, so you guys just did a Tinder hookup and then you were compatible and you've been together for 3 years. That's neat. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. I don't think I could ever do the Tinder shit.
Because, I don't think you even think about sex until you know someone a little bit.
I do, but it's just I don't know that it...
acting on it
right,
immediately. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I don't think I could fuck somebody that I didn't know. So, Tinder for me, no judgment, but I just can't do the hookup culture stuff. I'm all for people who can and do and engage in it, and got no problem with it. Don't beat yourself up too much is the important bit. One less person to consider dating, and you're closer to finding someone. Oh, yeah.
It's a learning experience.
Of course.
Fucking, what do you think high school is? Some of them last a long time, but for the most part, it's the fucking experiment time.
Right. It's where everybody's trying to be an adult. That's the thing about teenagers, and once again, this is why age of consent laws are important, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Because teenagers, having been one, having grown up around them, so let me give you anecdotes from my childhood. Mm-hmm. My teenagers, the teenagers around me when I was a teenager, all wanted to be treated just like adults. We were all trying to individuate. We all hated authority figures. We all hated our parents telling us we had to do this or that or this or that. None of us were happy about that. But none of us were equipped to actually do it. Mm-hmm. If we had been thrown to the wolves at 14, we'd have fucking, you know what I mean?
Turn on the AC because it's already feeling hot out.
Oh, yeah. Crank it. And so that's why it's so important, I think, to have these age of consent laws into place, because just because you feel like, hey, man, I fucking want to be treated like an adult doesn't mean you're equipped to be, right?
That's why the age of consent for 16 is a little iffy, because one
of
my friends got into a bad situation that way. She was 16, got with an older dude.
I mean, I honestly think that the age of consent at 18 is a little iffy, depending on, I think it was, a little iffy for you at 18 to go move in with somebody in their 40s. I'm not saying that you weren't capable of making that decision. I'm just saying that is borderline to me. Yeah. But that's why there has to be a fucking... You got to pick an age. And to me, I know that there are a lot of states in this country where 16 is that age. And I feel like in those states, young people probably get taken advantage of. When I was 16, I was nowhere. Now, this is anecdotal based on me, but when I was 16, I was nowhere ready to have any kind of fucking adult relationship with anybody. And in fact, I was taken advantage of by an adult at that age. You know, I mean, I kind of catfished her, but once she found out that I was
Yeah.
underage, she came back and didn't care.
Like, if you had been any more emotionally committed than you were, then it could have been.
I wasn't even capable of that type of emotional commitment at that time. I was just a fucking horny teenager.
Yeah.
Right? And so for me, it was totally cool that this older chick that was married was all into me, but the implications of that, I had no fucking clue what I was doing.
Yeah.
Think about this. That woman was married to a dude in the military. She gave me his military calling card so that I could call her for free long distance anytime I wanted. Had he found out who I was, he could have showed up and fucking killed me.
Yeah.
Or beat me up. Or involved me in some adult shit that I wasn't. I was a kid living with my parents. I was in high school still. So this is what I'm talking about. This is why I'm a firm believer that, like, no age of consent law is perfect. You're never going to find that sweet spot where everybody has grown up enough to where they can make that fucking decision.
Like,
Or you're not limiting people who have already, like, because like I said, if you go younger, like to the states that are 16, I believe that you're doing a disservice to those young people. If you go older, like let's say that we go like 18 ain't enough, 20. Then I think
Japan has 20. Like, I know people like shit on Japan, like, because they see the first thing that pops up is like 13, but that's just like their line for like, okay, before 13, the penalties are extra bad.
Right.
But really, it's effectively 18 or 20.
Right.
In Japan. So.
You know, but I think that pushing the age of consent further up the age range from 18 to 20 or some shit would be a disservice to some people who are at 18, 19, ready and capable of entering into that fucking consensual type of relationship. And so that's why it's imperfect, but you got to set a line. And so whenever this topic comes up, age of consent or whatever, I always say I think 18 is good. I think it's the best we can do. I don't think it's perfect. I don't think that it accounts for every person being ready for an adult relationship at that age or ready to fully consent to sexual activity at that age. But I also, you know, I don't think that we should push it farther into their 20s and shit. That's infantilizing. So it's like you got to pick a fucking age, and I think 18 is the best we can do. But that's, you know, to bring it back into what we're talking about here, that is, well, how did we get onto age of consent?
Like people experimenting with relationships.
Right. We were talking about, right. How high school is kind of like a trial ground for you to individuate as an adult. Every age-related law is a compromise. You're absolutely right. It's like 21 to drink. You're 18. So at 18, you can go to federal prison if you murder somebody. You're a straight-out adult, but you can't go buy a bottle of liquor, right? Well, what is that based on? That is based on society's best guess as to which age you are where you can make an informed decision about taking this very dangerous drug, right? Is it perfect? No, it isn't. But that's what these age laws are. Like somebody just said in the chat, it's all a compromise. It's all trying to find something between too harsh and too lenient.
Yeah, I feel like, do you think the minimum age of the military should go up to wherever the drinking age is?
Yeah, I do. I don't think that, because you can go at 17.
Yeah.
And sign up for the military so that on your 18th birthday you ship off. That's you can start doing military routing through the ROTC at like 14.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really think that people should have to go to a couple of years of fucking college. if you want. Maybe there's a prep line that they give people if you want to do soldier service.
because they have college ROTC
Right.
too. Yeah.
But I don't think that any fucking 18-year-old should be hitting, the foreign shore of a country machine gun blazing. That just doesn't seem like it. What about age to star in porn? Right.
I think it has to necessarily be the age of consent.
Right. Well, in order to be consistent, it does.
Yeah.
But the question is there a difference between engaging in consensual sex with an adult and performing sex? Right? And that's a gray area for me. I would be fine seeing 18-year-olds barred from going into pornography, because you know how many, especially young women go into porn? And maybe it's getting better now because of their ability to curate their own pornography.
Well, OnlyFans recently came out with a huge problem where there was a bunch of underage people they found that used their parents' ID to sign up.
Right. So of course there's got to be some kind of fucking measure to make sure that the people that are in porn are of age and all of that shit. But OnlyFans maybe has changed the world a little bit. I feel a little different now that OnlyFans is here, because I don't see a problem with somebody who is of age flaunting their sexuality. If that's what they choose to do. I don't see that as inherently negative. So I don't see somebody that, shows off their body however explicitly they want to as being inherently negative for that person to do.
Yeah, but you think the production porn where it's involving a bunch of other people and
moving an 18-year-old girl or an 18-year-old boy into mass production professional porn is something that I think is problematic, because that lifestyle is so fucking insane and so riddled with drugs and crazy promiscuity and unsafe sex.
Well, one interesting thing about New Orleans is they actually have 21 plus strip clubs only. They won't let 18-year-olds in at all. They won't let 18-year-olds work, which is different than a lot of places.
Right. And I think that, there's definitely maybe some room for us as a society to get better at that. This, you just turned 18 today, you're still in high school.
A lot of the time, yeah.
Right, because people turn 18 halfway through their senior year a lot of times. So they can go on the weekend and go get fucked at a glory hole. I mean, that seems like a high school kid.
Yeah.
They can go do a fucking 18-man bukkake gangbang, and then on Sunday and then Monday show up for their class. You know what I mean? That doesn't make... It seems to me that there's a little room for us to play with the idea of consenting to sex is not consenting to professional sex. Friend of mine from fine arts camp is starting stripping at 18. See, it's such a strange fucking thing, right? Because on one hand, I feel like it ain't my place to stand in front of a young man or a young woman from wanting to go do sex work. Sex work has been part of the world since the world has been part of the world, right? Bonobos do sex work. Yeah. So it's I'm torn between the part of me that wants to stand out of the way of people's rights to express their sexuality however they choose, and thus kind of going along with society that 18 is the age that we've all decided that you can start doing that, and being protective of people that are 18 that I know aren't maybe quite ready for it. You know what I mean? And so I'm torn between those two gray areas, and usually where I land on it is conversations like this. I think that 18 is our best stab at it, but it does stick in my craw that an 18-year-old can go and be a multinational porn star on her 18th birthday, but can't buy a bottle of vodka for a further 3 years, right? How does that work? What? How are those things sussed out?
I mean, maybe Romeo and Juliet laws, but at 18 instead of 16, a lot of states.
So what do you mean?
Like the Romeo and Juliet laws are like a 5-year max.
D.
Dynor. If you're like under the age of consent, like having D, come on.
Oh, just that guy walking.
Dynor, why you gotta be so mean to everyone?
They ought to raise the whole adulting age to 21. At least there's no double standard. I tend to agree, like, because there is this gray area where we're asking 18-year-olds to walk into the world and be adults. Because if you don't go to college after you're 18, you're expected to go find a job at a factory or at a fucking mechanic place or at a fast food place or at a service position and start working your way up at some kind of a job. And so I feel that it's unfair that we ask children or young adults to do that at 18, but we would also keep them under this fucking, like, you're not old enough to make adult decisions thing. So what Phoebe said rings true to me, but I just don't think society's willing to go for it. Let's extend knowing what we know about science now and knowing that the human brain doesn't finish developing until your early 20s, right? Let's extend what's considered to be childhood, right? Let's not necessarily, or come up with some kind of stepping stage where at 18 you can consent to sex, but you can't go into porn. Or at 20 or at 18 you can consent to sex with other people within 2 years of your age range, but you can't go outside of that. And then at 21 you can date whoever the fuck you want, however the fuck you want. These types of things are sticky, right? Because that's why this conversation is always a compromise, right? I don't necessarily think I would be against some type of idea like that, but I would have to heavily consider it because there's a lot of people's self-actualization on the line here. I don't want to infantilize people by forcing them to be children until they're 21. I wasn't done that way. I left my home right after I turned 19. Well, maybe you could drink and do drugs at home from 18 to 21. Well, let me tell you a little something that happened to me as a teenager that is considered to be pretty taboo nowadays. Thank goodness the statute of limitations is over for this. The parents of my group of friends, most of them had a philosophy. And that philosophy was, and you can poke holes in it, and I'll certainly help you poke some holes in it. Their philosophy was, it is better to know where our children are when they're doing the fucking shit that we know that they want to do, like drinking and drugs. It's better to know where they are than to not know where they are.
Well, I think even then, like, technically, I think drinking at home under 21 isn't technically illegal, just the buying of alcohol.
No. You cannot serve an alcoholic drink, even in private, to somebody that's under 21. I'm 99.9% sure about that. You cannot get drunk in your home. You cannot provide alcohol to teenagers. You just can't. That's considered contributing to the delinquency of a minor. It's the same thing as buying them beer, having them over to your house and giving them beer, right? So my parents and the parents of other people in my age group felt that, okay, these kids are going to drink. They're going to smoke pot. We could either make it a big old taboo and chase them into the fucking world with it and have them drunk driving, or we could let them do it from time to time at our house under supervision. So my mom, when me and my friends at 16, 17 wanted to get drunk, we'd work it out. It wasn't like something we did all the time, but we'd work it out. She'd collect all the fucking car keys so nobody was leaving the party. And, you know, it was a BYOB thing. She didn't buy all the beer and shit, but we were able to get beer back then. So people would bring fucking alcohol and she'd give us a safe place to do it. It wasn't just my mom's house, it was a bunch of other people's houses. And that was considered to be conventional wisdom among parents at that time. It was like, yes, do we think, you know, if you put a gun to my head, do we think that these 15, 16-year-olds should be smoking pot and getting drunk? No. But if we tell them, no, you can't do it here, are they not going to go get drunk elsewhere? Of course they are. Right?
I guess it is a little iffy because, like, I think it says in California that they're barred from drinking under 21 in public, but that doesn't necessarily cover in private.
Sure.
And then it's only illegal if a parent facilitates drugs and alcohol if they're under 18, not under 21.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, though. Yeah. I'm talking about when I was 15, 16, 17 years old, already smoking pot all the time, already drinking pretty regularly. And the idea behind that was, look, they're trying to, you know, I don't know that my parents would describe it this way, but this was the idea behind it. They're trying to individuate as adults. They're not. But they're going to do this shit anyway, and it could get them into trouble. The culture amongst teenagers is to drink and party and be fucking crazy. And we could let them do that here and have our eyes on our children, or we could push them out of the house and into the streets with it and see how it works out. That was my mom's policy. It worked out fine for me, but obviously not everyone is going to be as fortunate with outcomes and choices. It certainly set an attitude of acceptance. Yeah. Right. So that's, you know, once again, when I come back to somebody in the chat very wisely said that any law that has to do with age is going to be a compromise, one way or the other. And so I don't think that my parents or the parents of my friends when we were teenagers did a fucking thing wrong by letting us drink in their homes, by letting us smoke pot in their homes. Well, I mean, we weren't supposed to do that other one, but they kind of knew we were doing it anyway. We didn't smoke it in the home so much as around the home. And there were definitely parents that had different, like when we wanted to get really stoned, my friend Morgan's house is where we went because his dad was an old school pothead from back in the day and didn't give a fuck. But if we wanted to get, you know, just super drunk, my mom's house was a good choice because she would often just get drunk with us. Have a big fucking barbecue or some shit. It was great.
You know what the loopholes are for?
What?
Fucking mass, where they serve alcohol for the blood of Christ. That's why a lot of the exceptions exist.
Got it. I see. I think we start at 25 and lower it to 21 when our education system advances enough. Start what? Like adulthood? I personally think that's a little... Excuse me. Weed, please. Good Lord. I think that's a little on the high end personally, but once again, that's why this debate or this talk is kind of interesting for me. But also just a talk that's kind of frustrating too, because there's really no perfect answer. I mean, one thing that I do believe in is that as time goes on, more and more long-term psychological studies will get us closer to what's right on this. Right? So scientists, sociologists, psychologists are looking into this and coming up with ways to encapsulate human psychology, different ways of looking at developmental psychology that may lead to a more perfect idea of what the age of consent for sexual activity would be, for drinking, driving, all of that shit, right? I'm not necessarily suggesting that people be in school longer. I'm suggesting that there be like a leaving the nest period, if you will, right? And I'm not even like hardcore prescribing this. I'm not, this is just an idea that I've had. So 18, you graduate high school. A lot of people go right from high school to college. A lot of people go right from high school to trying to find a job. And what I'm advocating for when I say extending the period of guardianship of a parent to the age of 21, and then possibly pushing age of consent to that level, with exceptions for people within a 2 or 3 year age range of the person who's not yet 21. So you see what I'm saying? Romeo and Juliet laws. So, because obviously you have to make some kind of allowance for that. You're 18, you just graduated high school. You met a sophomore who you fell in love with or whatever, had a little fucking tryst with, and you're dating. She's 16, gonna be 17. And you turn 18, and all of a sudden that becomes illegal for you to be with her because you kiss and you do other things, maybe. So there's got to be some kind of fucking. So I think that maybe like a tiered system might be good. So, like, think about it. At 18, you're considered in this range of age of consent. People within 2 years behind you or your age, right? You can't go forward. Well, I guess you could go forward. If you're 18, if we're talking about 21, right, being this magic age where we go, you are a full adult. You can go be in the military. You can consent to any kind of sexual contact that you want. You can go be a porn star if you want. Boom, go, right? Then a 21-year-old wants to date an 18-year-old. That's fine. Or 20-year-old wants to date an 18-year-old. That's fine. You create a different, like I described it earlier as a leaving the nest phase.
Well, that's kind of what they call like Romeo and Juliet laws.
Right.
That 3-year, 5-year difference or whatever.
So we take that and we create a new classification that doesn't infantilize people that are between the age of 18 and 21, but puts them into a new class where it's like, this is your leaving the nest phase as a teenager becoming an adult. Mm-hmm. And so whether you end up going to college with those years, which a lot of people do, or some people do, or dipping your toe into going and getting a job and maybe even getting into your own apartment, you are still not, fully allowed to go out and get drunk all the goddamn time. You're not allowed to fucking go sign up for the military yet. You've got this like phase where you either stay with your parents or you start looking for your own apartment, but where there's an assumption of support from your parents to you because you haven't fully left the nest. You're spreading your wings for the first time. And your parents are there as your safety net, one way or the other. So 18 to 21 would be that. 21 would be full adult, right? So you can't engage in fucking pornography and shit between the ages of 18 and 21. You can't do it because we've created this new kind of developmental hitch, right? But once you're 21, you can do whatever the fuck you want. If you want to date people, of course you're going to want to. You're limited to your age range during those years. You can date somebody that's 20 when you're 18. You can date somebody that's 19 when you're 18. You can date somebody that's 18 when you're 20.
18-year-old should be able to have a relationship with like a 16-year-old?
Well, that's where the Romeo and Juliet shit come in. If there's proof that there was a pre-existing relationship that started in high school and shit, I don't see a fucking problem with an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old continuing a relationship. But that's the exemption. Mm-hmm. If you're a 20-year-old and you meet a 16-year-old, no. Mm-hmm. Right? But if you're in school together, when you meet, of course, you're in that same age range and shit. But that's just, it's an interesting conversation, but I don't really think there's any right answers or wrong answers. I think we just have to try and get as close as we can. And I think that honestly right now, for good, bad, or otherwise, I think we've done that. I think that saying that, like, look, at 18, you can go out and do whatever the fuck you want except for go get drunk. And then at 21, you can get drunk. I think that's okay. I think there's some problems in it.
Yeah. Like the whole underage marriage being illegal with parental consent.
Right. I mean, that is a little weird. My parents had that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they would have technically fallen under Romeo and Juliet statutes and shit. But I know not all states have that. Age of consent laws are sticky because I was always taught that with earning money, a lot of freedom was conferred onto a person. Sure, absolutely. But with that freedom comes a lot of fucking problems with a lot of people, because a lot of people are not properly taught how to balance a checkbook or how to work a job or anything, right? And then they're just kind of thrown to the wolves at 18.
Well, it's a little iffy too, like with student loans. Like that's a big decision, especially the private
Hugely
student
predatory
loan.
too. A lot of people don't understand, like, I'll be paying this loan for 30 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't get the fucking reality of that at 18.
Yeah.
So
well,
they
like
sign.
I even knew someone in my class that he was in his 30s and he still didn't fucking understand. He thought that they were all grants and not something that he had to pay back.
Loans are predatory.
Yeah.
So it's just like throwing an 18-year-old out there into a world where all these financial institutions want to give them like high interest rate loans that defer any payment until they're out of school, so it feels like it's free money.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you get out of school and you start making
Yeah.
better money, you get hit with these huge bills, and there goes a quarter of your goddamn fucking paycheck
Yeah.
every month for 30 years in perpetuity. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm not being like, we should do my idea. I'm just saying that, like, thinking of it in terms of a more tiered strategy where you are a child, then you become a young adult, then you become an adult. I think that makes sense to me. What the actual age ranges involved are, I think that 18 starting young adult is pretty good. Maybe even another tier before young adult. Teen. That kind of like allots for the fact that while you're not psychologically developed as a human being, you are sexually expressing, hormonally expressing, individuating as an adult as you move towards those landmark ages, which allows for the Romeo and Juliet laws that we were talking about. It allows for somebody that turns 18 to keep dating somebody that's 17 or 16, right?
Oh yeah, it's stupid that loans are based on your parents' income and not your own income.
Yeah.
It's like you basically have to be married or
Because
you have to be an emancipated minor to not have your parents'
Right.
income. And it's like and not a lot of people's parents, like they might have a certain income but not pay for any of the college.
Right. What's something you miss the most about the 80s? I really liked the like wacky out there style of the 80s. There was a very like punky kind of like, fuck you, I look different because I look hella different thing that started in the 80s that has continued now. Like all the punky colors and ladies' hair now. That shit was really kind of like born in the 1980s. And if you look at some of the icons in the 80s, especially if you look at like, early mid 80s of fashion, Cyndi Lauper, Madonna, right? There was this very out there, in your face fucking style of the 80s that was cool, that kind of trickled down in more subdued ways to everybody. I kind of miss it. There was something charming about it. A lot of people like look back at the 80s and go like, oh my God, cringe. Look at all the big shoulder pads women are wearing and, this, that, and the other thing. But to me, there's a charm to that because I grew up around it. So I'd say that like, it always makes me feel good when I see a trend from the 80s kind of make its way back into the culture in some way or another, like the heavy eye makeup. Well, yeah, the movies in the 80s, fantastic, right? There's a lot. I'm very nostalgic for my childhood. I think it's all people that reach my age kind of become that way. I try to not let it paint the way that I look at people that are, that age now. But I do miss certain aspects of the 80s and the 90s. The 90s, what I miss the most is the music culture and how it wasn't centered around social media at all. It was all word of mouth. And that was so fucking cool, learning about a band that you end up loving, because like, here's how I found out about 9 Inch Nails. I didn't find out about 9 Inch Nails as a band because I watched them on MTV. Now, I'd maybe seen a Nine Inch Nails video at some point, but they didn't hit with me. I had a friend, my friend Kevin, bring over one day. We were just hanging out. He was like, "Hey man, can I come hang out?" I was like, "Yeah." And he knew I had a nice stereo system in my house, in my room. He popped in Pretty Hate Machine. He was like, "Listen to this shit." Popped it in. And we listened to it together. And I was like, "Fuck, this band is dope." And he's like, "I know, I've been fucking listening to this nonstop." And I was like, "Dude, I gotta burn a copy of this." He ended up getting me a copy of Pretty Hate Machine. That Christmas, which was just a couple months after this, my parents had overheard me talking so much about Nine Inch Nails that they got me the brand new album, The Downward Spiral, and that changed my whole fucking life, right? So, but I didn't find out about this because I was on Spotify and I got recommended it, or I was on social media and a bunch of people were talking about it. I got recommended it direct word of mouth from just somebody I knew, brought it over. I listened to it for the first time and I was like, whoa, I missed that. And it may seem counterintuitive to miss that because it's like, you miss not having access to other, yeah, kind of. I miss having a look. I miss the act of discovery. Did you wear those skimpy short shorts? Remember, in the 80s, I was 0 to 10. I was born in 1980. So, yes, I wore like the little, they're called boy shorts now, but they were just very like shortcut 80s little runaround shorts all the time. My mom's got reams of pictures of me from like the ages of fucking 4 to 12 wearing that shit. Neon, yeah. Lots of neon and like just really loud kind of color schemes, patterns, clashing patterns, layered patterns. I liked it. I think the 80s had a real cool aesthetic to it.
Do you think 1 8-inch apple pie is okay for tonight, or should I get 2?
Let's get 2.
Okay.
Because we gonna meet some big boys.
All right, so I'll do 2 then.
Yeah, let's do 2.
I just wanted to get it taken care of now, so we're not rushing.
Yeah, you might want to just get some ice cream with it too, so we can do a la mode.
Your mom said that someone's bringing ice cream.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we're going on a road trip to see Mama today.
Yeah,
Amelia.
Memorial Day.
Yeah, for Memorial Day. Yeah, we're gonna go swimming. We're gonna go a little later in the afternoon here today, and she's gonna get to meet all my gigantic cousins. One of them that is, I would say that my biggest cousin is probably 1 inch shorter than TJ, but built like a brick shit house. Like he's not like strongest man in the world ripped. He's just he's fat, but he's like muscular. He was the shield man at Chino in California for like 10 years. So he's just a big giant dude. And then his brothers, dude, fucking you get to meet my cousin that like I'm not even sure why he never went into modeling. The dude looks like a fucking model. His brothers and his dad are all people that have struggled with their weight their whole lives. But this one cousin, he's the third brother. He is just fucking cut, ripped, in good shape, abs, perfect amount of hair on his chest, so he looks kind of like lumberjacky, but like sinewy. That motherfucker. I want to strangle him every time I see him. I mention it every time I see him. Like, how did you dodge the fat gene, motherfucker? Look around you. Everybody in this family is fat but you. He's a head shorter than his brothers, but he's fucking like fast, athletic, ridiculously good looking. Fuck him. Got all the goddamn good genes out of the family. He's not on juice. He's not ripped like he's like
Cut.
How am I supposed to put it? Yeah, he looks appropriately like a dude that works hard for a living.
Yeah.
And maybe hits the gym a couple times a week to keep himself lean. He runs a lot.
Yeah, I think, I'd say
Low body fat, so he's got the abs.
I'd say cut is like when the muscles are visible but not.
He's not yoked.
Yeah.
He just looks good, you know. He looks like he's in really good shape. Like he works out a little bit and keeps himself toned and his body fat low. And then he's not older, but he's like in his mid 30s, so he doesn't have this like hairless body aesthetic.
Yeah.
And so he's got really well proportioned chest hair and shit. Like not too much of a happy trail, but an insinuation of a happy trail and fucking a nice bush of chest hair up here on the pecs.
No back hair?
No back hair. Not a fucking sprig of back hair. The dude is like a god. I'm telling you, he's like Wolverine. I hate him, but I love him. We're talking about my cousin that Amelia is going to meet today. She's meeting my 3 cousins, which are infamous in my family and infamous amongst TJ and all my friends too. They're huge, boisterous, foul-mouthed, dangerous people that would never hurt a fly that's inside my mom's house. That's basically how I put them. They all have at various times worked in the correctional system.
Jawan, there's no chance that they're stealing me. I am a person attracted to fat. There's no way.
Well, then you better get ready, because 2 of them are fat as fuck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think they were implying that the attractive one was...
Oh, I'm going to keep my eye out.
Yeah.
I ain't letting Mr. Steal Your Girl sneak up on me. No, that's okay. They would never do that. They're all married with kids and shit.
Yeah. But yeah, I think he was implying the attractive one.
Oh, well, see, I mean, you got to worry about that no matter what.
Yeah.
They're all J names. I won't say their names, but they have a J naming scheme. And they're like little stutter steps, 2 years apart, 2 years apart. And, all their wives have J names too. It's fucking crazy. There's a lot of J's being thrown around. Let's just put it that way. They're married with kids. Sound kind of fishy. I know. Creepy. Married with kids. I mean, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Really admire Amelia about being forthright about being attracted to fatness. As a fat girl, that makes me smile. Like, yay, folks talk honestly about what they like and the conversation finally. Yeah. Well, I mean, the fact that I've never really been single for longer than a couple of months belies the fact that there are plenty of people out there that like a cuddlier dude. Like a dude with a little bit of blubber on him. Amelia, when she talks about me, it's hard for me to see myself the way she sees me, but she talks about me in ways that are so sweet and endearing. She likes how soft and cuddly I am. She likes the way it feels to lay up against me and all this stuff. And, you know, I don't see that stuff in me, but I'm not going to argue with her. I want her here. I don't need to have my cuteness reinforced. Thank you. I appreciate it, but it's okay.
I mean, you're wearing a pretty cute shirt today.
That's true. I got my Snorlax shirt that says "Not today, bitches." Yeah. I'm sleeping today.
Unfortunately, today
is the day.
We have to do something.
It's okay though. This is for the plebs, and then when I'm done with this, I'll go put on my "Yes Today" shirt. I do hate Pokemon, but I like Snorlax. Somebody got me this as a gift, so.
Yeah. Is there any other things that like you only like one character from and then fuck everything else about?
I mean, I try and find something to like about like the stuff that becomes so culturally ubiquitous that you can't escape it, like Pokemon, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Like, name some shit that you know I'm not into, and I'll try and fucking...
Like, some of the really, like the popular sitcoms or something, like Family Guy, for example.
Yeah, I mean, like Family Guy, I still don't watch it, but I've always loved Stewie in Family Guy. The idea of like an evil gay baby is pretty funny. So I like Stewie. I don't really like anything else in that show anymore. But I don't really like Snorlax. Like, I'm not gonna play a game because Snorlax is in it or whatever. It's just he's the Pokemon that I fucking like his. I like the cut of his jib. His whole thing is he just sleeps unless you've got a pokey flute to wake him up. You go doo 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 doo, and then he like, and then you can pokeball him. That's what I like about the Snorlax. I like his name. I like his character design. He's just like a big fat schlub that likes to sleep. So I'm cool with that. But you're not gonna catch me throwing Pokeballs on my phone. Just don't happen.
Dude, yeah, it was like a fucking fever dream how long Pokemon Go was super popular.
Oh my god, dude! Not to bring up old relationships, but fucking Ashley was. Yeah. She lived Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
And it was constant. It was like she was as a millennial. She was already glued to her phone the way we all are now. Yeah. But like it tripled down when Pokemon Go came out. She would walk around the house like in the middle of the night, like catching Pokemon that were in the kitchen. She would like, I'm gonna take the car out real quick because there's supposedly like a Joe Jaxo Waxo or whatever the fuck, and I'm like, what? I'm going to drive around the neighborhood because there's a Joe Jaxo Waxo. Yeah. And I'm going to find a spot and I'm going to walk around a little bit. I was like, okay, have fun.
I was positioned the worst, I think, for Pokemon Go. Because apparently there was like, because I lived on a river, like next to a river, and there was like all the little fishies that live in the river. Yeah. And people would spend all fucking day there because if you collected enough fishies, you could make a dragon.
Right.
So
you could make the fish dragon thing.
Yeah.
There were different areas, and so like we live near San Antonio. So the closer we got to San Antonio, or the coast, or the different kind of like attractions.
Yeah.
So she would drive around to like, she would find out she was a member of all these like Pokemon Go Watch type of Twitters and fucking other social medias. So it's like she joined all the San Antonio ones. So people would be like, oh my fucking god, like 12 Snorlaxes downtown fucking San Antonio. And she'd just tell me like, I'm going downtown. I'm going to take the car. I'm going downtown. This is 12 Snorlax. I'm like, all right. Have fun. Be careful. Don't crash. But I didn't get it at all. She showed me how to play the game and shit. She's like, look, they're in the room. And I'm like, creepy. They're in here? No, there's not a fucking no. And she's like, yeah, look. And then you throw the ball. You catch them. And I'm like, no, they're not in here. No, they're not.
Yeah, and one time there was like a whole fucking swarm of them, and then one dude went to a different part of the street, and they all followed him. It's like
the Pokemons were chasing him. Oh my fucking god, bro! I remember there would be like we would go to these events and shit. And I would have to stay a little. It didn't. I'm not trying to bitch. It didn't bother me. But I would be like, "You ready to go?" And she'd be like, "I'm battling at a gym right now." And like at first I didn't know what that meant, but like after 6 months of it, I knew that meant that she was trying to take over a gym that was nearby, and that meant that for the next 10 minutes I had to find something else to do because she was pokey battling. I didn't want to, dude. I saw people during the height of it walking around like. Just doing it, obviously Pokemon going. And I was like, dude, as fun as it actually sounds, because like if you strip the Pokemons out of it, it actually does sound fun. I was like, I don't want to be more attached to my phone and have my phone leading me around town and wasting my gas. I don't want it. And then there was shit in there that you could buy. You could buy like these rare candies or whatever to evolve your Pokemon faster and shit. And so she had her own job. I never stood in front of what she spent her money on, but I remember she would spend money. She'd like throw $20 at Pokemon Go so she could evolve her Poopa Toopa Loopa to fucking a Poopa Doopa Loopa. And I was just like, man, I don't want to be that into it. So I just never tried it. Because as silly as I've made it out to be and as much fun as I've made of it, I could see myself getting into it.
Well, yeah, it's like the the constant improvement thing that like some games you play that you really like, or like
The the type of what?
like the games where you're constantly building your character and
Yeah.
investing and all that shit.
I'm definitely susceptible to that.
Yeah.
And so for me, the whole idea of like I get more powerful as I collect more of these,
Yeah.
I avoided it because I thought I would be too into it. I did not want to devote more of my fucking free time to my phone because I saw what it was doing to everybody, not just the person I was with at the time. Minecraft is different for me, honest Red. I've dipped my toe in it. I Minecraft, when it first came out, I played a lot of it because it became an educational program that I had to put on some machines. Kids weren't allowed to play Minecraft all day, but teachers were allowed to give their kids certain tasks in Minecraft. Build this,
Yeah.
show do a math problem in Minecraft, use so many blocks to demonstrate, you know. And so I set it up and I started playing it. And for me, I never took it to that like architectural level
Yeah.
that Minecraft goes to. I really enjoyed just digging a hole in the ground, making a very utilitarian base, and then digging down and finding the dungeons and mining stuff. And I never really got to the like, let's build a giant castle with lava moats and shit. I just never got to that point. But yeah, I could see how like Minecraft and then some of its successors like Roblox, right, could be enticing in that world building way, that it's never over way.
Yeah.
Once you've finished making the big monument, all you want to do is make one that's cooler somewhere else in the world, you know. Roblox was around way before Minecraft. Really, was it? I did not know that. I appreciate the correction. I did not know that. I thought Roblox was like came around after Minecraft, but I've never played it, so I wouldn't know. Maybe that's just going to be the new thing. There will be a COVID level event that just eats the world's interest every 4 years, just like Pokemon Go. Maybe. Roblox. Wow, dude, I didn't know Roblox was that old. That's crazy. I thought Roblox was like a Zoomer thing that came out that kind of took Minecraft and made it into a different like social chat room thing. I did not know that it had been around because that, yeah, 2006, 2007. Well, that doesn't necessarily predate. If it predates Minecraft, it's very fucking quickly after that Minecraft was out. Because I remember having the beta for Minecraft in 2008, I want to say.
I mean, I wish Roblox was only for kids. So many kids play it, but it isn't. There's
Roblox
adults
is
that go on there.
Roblox is like anywhere where kids congregate on the internet because there's no fucking laws, because there's really no regulation of any kind of fucking worth keeping predatory adults from interacting with children. Roblox is like a fucking place I would never let my kid go. Or if they did go, they would be under fucking direct supervision from me. But that includes any of these fucking child game communities. You saw how fucking YouTube was doing.
Yeah.
Like even the fucking like you as a parent, you turn your tablet onto YouTube Kids and you hand it to your toddler. And you walk away to cook some fucking pasta or whatever.
Poor Chelsea's channel is stuck on Made for Kids, which she didn't even mean to. So it's like, not that fucking Chelsea streams are like egregious or something, but she talks about adult things sometimes.
Right. So that's the thing, dude, is like these, and this is another thing that we've talked about on here before, and we kind of touched on before, is the internet. When I was a kid, when it was nascent and not everybody had it, was a huge predatory tool for adults to prey on children. And it's only become more ubiquitous. I have kind of gotten out of the game of like being in on all the new social media shit, playing all the little games and stuff. Like I don't know anything about Roblox. I played Minecraft the way that I had described it to you. I dig a hole, you know what I mean? And I have a little hut. I'm not into it still, but I can only imagine, and maybe you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, that this shit has gotten worse as the internet has become something that, because back when I was a kid, it was a hobbyist thing.
Yeah.
Adults that knew about it had it in their house. But not everybody was sold on the idea of getting hooked up because it was another bill every month, right? So that limited the scope of how many kids and how many adults were on it, but it also limited the amount of oversight that was on it because adults didn't think their kids were getting up into any mischief. They used it to, they thought their kids were using it for school basically because they used it that way too. They used it to look up encyclopedia things and definitions of words and news sites and stuff, and they figured kids were doing the same thing. Well, they weren't. And now that it's totally ubiquitous, it's almost necessary to have some kind of internet connection in your home, whether it be a hard connection that comes into your house or just through your phone, which is even more common. I can only imagine this shit has gotten worse.
Yeah, like someone was saying, like, oh, as long as you just tell them not to talk to strangers, it's fine. It's like, no.
My parents told me not to talk to strangers, and I was in a chat room at fucking 12 years old, 11 years old, talking to grown adult men sexually. It doesn't seem like it's the same thing. Don't talk to strangers means if a dude knocks on the door and says, "Hey, little boy, come on with me," you go like, "No," and you slam the door, or comes up to you in public and says, "Get in my van." You don't. The internet felt like it was a fantasy world. These people, I would never meet them. They would never meet me. I could be who and whatever I wanted to be, and I assumed they were doing the same thing. So it all felt very unreal. And I can't imagine that kids don't still look at it the same way. That was not just an outcropping of me being the first generation to be exposed to this. That's how children think of it. That's the simplification of a child's mind. Oh, in the real world, I can't say fuck, shit, twat. But if I go on Roblox and I go in the right room, I can do whatever I want. I can say whatever I want. I can pretend to be an adult. Because these people can't really hurt me. They can't get me. They don't know where I'm at. So I could be mean. I could act like I'm an adult. I could do adult things that I shouldn't be doing or saying. Right? I can only imagine how bad that's gotten now. But that's the problem, Angry Gamer Show, is that it often, like for me, the road from simple, innocent childhood, kind of like messing around on the internet, going to these message boards and trolling, going to these chat rooms and just meeting other people, the road from that innocent exploration of the internet to me being approached by massive amounts of adults that wanted to take me private and fuck me was short. It didn't take long. It was almost immediate. As soon as I started interacting with other people on the internet and stopped using it as a tool to communicate with my friends and play LAN games and shit, and started going to these message boards and then eventually going to these IRC chat rooms and these fucking browser-based chat programs like MPlayer. That's where I met the chick at 15 that I was in a relationship all the way through till I was like almost 18 years old.
And it's like kids don't understand the difference between like casual conversation and revealing personal information.
No.
They don't think of it that way.
No, they don't.
They don't think that your age is something private or your name is something private.
Well, see, what I learned quickly was when I told people my age, that it excited them because there were pedophiles out there that were looking to find young kids. I was honest about my age at first, but that led me to realize this is what they're after. They like that I'm young.
And then went even lower.
So I can be younger, or I could be a girl.
Yeah.
And it just, and this is not shit that somebody that's fucking 12, 13, 14 should be doing online with people that are in their fucking 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, who knows?
And it's like, it's not like they age verify for like those chat apps and shit.
Back in the day, there was no such thing as a verification of anything.
Yeah. Like
You didn't even
ask.
create an account.
Yeah.
You went there and you said type in username. You didn't even put a password in the early ones because there was no such thing. You just type in a username and you go. There was no email back in the day. You know what I mean? Omegle. Well, see, like I missed the whole Omegle thing because I was in my fucking 30s when chat roulette and Omegle became a thing. But I can only imagine the type of shit that went on that because it's like a random program that just hooks you up with anybody.
Yeah, and you can do video too.
And a couple little girls have their laptop down. They're having a fucking sleepover, and it's 3 a.m. Their parents are asleep, and what happens?
Yeah.
They pop into a room with a dude that's got his dick out, and what do? You know what I mean? How much of that shit is going on? Infinite. And that's like, how is that different from that dude walking up to their window and jerking off or sending them pictures of his dick?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you can put links in there, so even if you're not on the video chat, they can fucking send it.
It's just, and this type of shit, there's really nothing but kind of like virtue signaling coming out of people talking about tackling this as a problem. And in fact, a lot of people see this as an attack on the free speech of the internet. A lot of people will go like, well, where are the parents at? Well, it's apparent that the parents aren't there. And if the parents aren't going to be there and aren't going, now there are a number of parents that set up their internet, because there are ways to set up your internet where kids can't get around your shit. Yeah. But you got to do it. It takes some technical knowledge to do it. You got to be dedicated to doing it.
You gotta be dedicated to making a password that isn't fucking super simple.
Most parents just rely on checking the fucking internet history every once in a while, and
But,
kids
like,
know how to fucking
clear it.
kids know how to clear the shit out of that and make it look like they're just doing innocent shit. I was doing that back when I was a kid, because my dad, he didn't check up on me, but I knew better than to leave fucking porn shit up in my history, because if my dad ever said he would come use my computer to play games sometimes. And it's just like, what if he gets curious? What if he goes to my fucking internet browser history? Let me just go ahead and clear that out. Or like, well, eventually it became like you could set it to where it just doesn't keep your history.
Incognito, or just turn off history completely.
But like, you know, I was completely aware of that what I was doing was something I shouldn't be doing. But there was nobody there to stop me. I was a child. And children will do that in those types of consequence, or what they perceive as consequence-free environments. And that's really the insidiousness of the internet, is you can talk to your kids about talking to strangers and sexual predators all day long, but it's that veil of unreality that the internet throws over everything. Oh, this person could be across the world. This person will never know who I really am. So I can be 8, I can be 12, I can be a little girl, I can be a little boy, I can be anything that they want me to be. And it doesn't matter, because they can't come find me at my house, and which is mostly true. Not always, as long as the child knows, because like even back then I knew better. I don't even remember somebody asking me for my address. Well, that's not true. The fucking woman I was in a relationship with had my address. So it's like, you know what I mean?
And your phone number, which is basically
my personal phone number.
Yeah.
Not my dad's phone, but she got that because she had my personal phone number. So this woman knew everything about me. Where I lived, where I stayed, what my phone number was, who my friends were. It's not easy to monitor what the fuck your kid does online where you're working 2 jobs. No, that's not true. See, it's not about you looking over their shoulder all the time. There are programs that you can put on a child's phone, at the router level in your home, that will restrict what your child can do and the hours your child can be on the internet. You can restrict a child's phone with parental controls to be off at certain times of the day. So you can set your child's phone to be emergency calls only for the duration of their day at school. And if they don't have your fucking password, they can't get in their phone. Net Nanny, Open DNS, exactly. This is not talking, I'm not talking about you fucking just like watching everything your child does, because nobody's got time to do that. I agree.
But it's like, you know, you did the school district thing. Where
part of my job was restricting children's access to shit they shouldn't see on the internet. And when a kid used one of these fucking browser-based VPNs that would pop up that I hadn't blocked yet, I would find who that kid was. That kid would get in trouble, and that VPN got blocked. And it didn't take all fucking day for me to do that. Most of my job was not chasing after kids that were looking at porn because I had shit locked down. Most of my job was fixing shit that wasn't working. So you as a parent can set up a fucking net nanny, set up OpenDNS at the fucking router level, and have massive amounts of control over the media that your children consume. Massive, without any oversight from you. Same thing goes with the phone. Your kid gets a new phone, you don't just hand it to them to set up. You say, all right, cool new phone, give it to me. Parental locks, parental controls, usage. I'll give it to you in about 15, 20 minutes when I'm finished getting it set up. You don't get to use it at school. Here are the phone numbers that you're allowed to text while at school. 911, mom, dad, Uncle Charlie. Here are the fucking times you're allowed to use it. Here's what time it goes off at night. Here's the password to lock it up.
Like, people forgot that, like, normal alarm clocks exist and they don't actually have to have their phone all night.
Right. But that's just the thing. Is like, I don't know. I don't understand kids, especially, or parents, especially nowadays, going like, phones off, and then letting their kids be in their room like till 5 a.m. It's bullshit. Yeah. You can set up parental controls on the phone so that it just shuts off at 8. Yeah. Sorry, no more phone for you. Emergency use only. You got to call 911. You can do it. You got to call me or text your dad. You can do it. But no texting, no fucking internet, no bullshit. It's off. Bloop. Shut down.
Discord is another one that you would fucking obviously...
You can control at the app level.
Yeah.
So if you have parental controls on, they have to come ask you if they can download an app.
Yeah.
You look at it and they're like, hey, I want to do this app so I can talk to my friends. And you look at it and you see Discord. You go like, nope. Yeah. Sorry, no Discord. Oh, come on. No. Fuck, man. Whatever. Just want to talk to my friends. You have their text messages, right? Text them. Make a text group. I'm not an idiot. I know what fucking Discord is. You're not getting it. Go. Like how fucking hard is this? It's like they come to you, and even if you don't immediately know that it's a bad app, right? They come to you, and you don't immediately go, okay, that Jimmy's Clown World, that sounds good. Okay, you can do that. Yeah, hit the check mark, honey. You go, okay, let me look into it. I'll get back to you in 20 minutes. Jimmy's Clown World. Known to be a pedophile haven. Known to have no age restriction. Age restriction loosely enforced. Fucking problematic. Just stories about Jimmy's Clown World. Guess what, honey? You don't get Jimmy's Clown World. Sorry. No Jimmy's Clown World on the phone.
Yeah. There's definitely problems with parents, like, just saying yes to everything.
Dude, some parents just like... I'm sorry. Some parents just like set an age for their kid and go like, all right, you're 13, you get a phone. Here you go. And it's just like, don't. You don't use it. Maybe they intend to check it, but kids are not stupid. They know how to clear their fucking browser history and shit. So if you do go like look at their phone, it's not going to have anything illicit on it. That's how a lot of parents, and it's like, why? There are these broad fucking parental controls that can be instituted in a various number of ways, and I would recommend instituting multiple layers of them. So we're talking about net nannies. We're talking about phone usage time lockdown, all of that shit. Every goddamn parent should be using that shit. And it's just like people will hand a fucking brand new iPhone 11 to their kid and just go like, yeah, set it up, blah, blah, blah. Or maybe they've already set it up to have the thing on. Set up your account and have fun. Yay, happy birthday. Woo! Yeah, see, I'm even a boomer on that because you're saying kids are getting cell phones younger than 13 these days. That was like the age that was like the low age when smartphones first came out. And now it's just, and tablets. Dude, I was recently around, and this is neither here nor there, and I don't know how they were locked down. I assume they were. Yeah. But I was recently around a friend of mine that I haven't seen in a long time who has twins. And his boys are probably like 8. And they were both on iPads, like playing games and stuff, right? So that's another thing that kids have now. They don't have cell phones, but they have iPads, which are
essentially the same.
When it comes to their access to the internet and all the things on it, if they don't have it locked down.
Yeah.
But I when I was in there, I actually went and, what are you guys doing? And they were playing some fucking match game.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, cool. So it's clear that, like, you know, his dad has locked them down. They were in like a toddler-proof type case that with the stand and everything. And they both had one that was identical because, of course, they're twinsies, so they can't have anything different. I remember he was telling me that one of them was mad because one of them has astigmatism and needed glasses, but the other one didn't inherit it. Yeah. And when the other one got glasses, the one that didn't was like, you know, they had to explain to him, like, glasses aren't necessarily a good thing. You should be happy. You got real good eyes.
Yeah. Well, they can always pull a TJ and just have some with the lenses knocked out.
Yeah. Well, that is the excuse that my parents used too. If I were to tell my parents, and I've never done so, if I were to tell my parents the shit that happened to me, the full length and extent and breadth of shit that happened to me, right, on the internet from about age 11 to 18 and beyond, right, they would go like, oh my God, PJ, I never knew, but you were just so ahead of us. We just had no clue that stuff even was out there. We didn't even know what the internet was. And that, I think, for my parents' generation, is the last generation that can legitimately use that as an excuse.
Yeah. Because it's been...
And even then, the excuse is flimsy because they brought it into the house.
Yeah, it's been 20 years since it's been, like, pretty much ubiquitous. Maybe a little less than that, but still.
I didn't get an iPhone until I was 15. Even then, Mom was pissed at my dad because she thought it wasn't time. Before that, I got a safety brick. Yeah. I understand, dude.
Even the early flip phones, too, you could still go on the internet with them.
A limited way.
Yeah.
Not the early ones.
I remember finding porn on a fucking flip phone.
That's true. It is true. The browsers were horrible, but you could do it.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't worse than, like, old dial-up in terms of loading shit.
I actually had the first camera phone.
Yeah.
The very first phone that had an external camera and flash on it. It was a flip phone. Yeah. A silver brick, like, you know, flip phone. And I got it because my friend Waylon was working at Good Guys, a now defunct company. Yeah. And he had the hookup. And he told me, he was like, PJ, dude, I've got this phone. It's got a camera on it. And I was like, I don't. He was like, dude, I'll get it. You trade in the phone you have, and I'll get it for you for basically free, like $20. I was like, all right. So he finagled the plan on it. I traded in my other flip phone that I had. I think I had a Razor at the time. And I got this fucking camera phone. And dude, I thought I could get away with shit that I couldn't because it was the only fucking phone that had a camera on it. Yeah. So like months later, we ended up at a strip club for one of my friend's 18th birthday. And he got pulled up on the stage and got the fucking whole treatment from all the strippers there. And I was fucking like, I had my phone up. And I'm like, woo-hoo, taking pictures of him.
Yeah, and they were like...
And all of a sudden, dude, I shit you not, I'm sitting there like, ah! And I'm not trying to make it a racial thing, but the biggest, blackest hand I've ever seen hits me on the shoulder like, I need you to step out here with me, sir. I was like, oh, fuck. I flipped my flip phone, closed. This dude was huge. Yeah. And he took me right outside. He wasn't forceful with me. He just kept his hand on my shoulder, walked me to the front door. And he said, I'm going to need you to open up your phone, sir, and show me the pictures on it. And I was like, pictures? I wasn't taking any pictures. I was texting my friends about how much fun we were having. He's like, I'm going to need you to open up your pictures. Well, luckily, I had looked at the phone and set up different folders for my pictures to be saved in.
So you had like one of your dogs or something.
The main folder was separate from the folder that new pictures went into, and I would move. So I went into my pictures folder, and it was pictures of like me and my friends, like not at the strip club, my dog Boogie, whatever the fuck, right? And he was like, go put that in your car. If I see you with that thing again, you're fucking ejected.
No, that dude wasn't taking no shit.
Right.
Like, even if he couldn't find the specific pictures, he was like, You totally
So I
were.
did escape with a couple of very blurry early cell phone pics that have been lost to time now
Yeah.
of my friend getting a lap dance at a strip club.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, I was the last generation to get away with that
Yeah,
shit.
you know the other like strip club confrontation I've seen is like they fucking hate when like guests start stripping. Like there was this couple and this chick was like taking off her shirt and stuff.
Yep.
And they're like, no, you gotta go. It's for the strippers to strip. It's not for you to strip.
Yeah. Dude, that dude could have palmed my head like a basketball. I remember being so afraid that he was going to beat me up. I was like, this dude is going to fucking take me out in the parking lot and fucking kick my ass and break my phone. That's really what I thought I was getting. And and there was nothing I could do. I just marched to my doom. Dude, he was just a huge dude. A very intimidating presence, and I'm not, you know.
Like bigger than TJ?
I wouldn't say like maybe not taller than TJ, but just a big yoked
Like
guy.
bigger frame.
Like a dude
shit.
that looked like he knew how to beat somebody into the ground professionally.
Yeah.
Whereas TJ could just like kind of like donk you and hurt you pretty bad. This guy would like break you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, the Green Mile guy.
I mean, maybe not as big as him.
Yeah.
He was actually he was like a muscular type dude.
Yeah.
He was wearing like the bouncer t-shirt with suspenders and shit.
Yeah.
And bald, shaved, completely bicked back head, and just a big dude. Like, I just remembered how heavily his hand clapped on me because I thought it was one of my friends, and I was going to complain, like, ow, motherfucker. But it was him, like, getting my fucking attention with that hand. I was like, oh, shit. Yeah, I would say, like, a Suge type of dude. Like that, built like that, at least. I don't know if he was as big as Suge. He was just big. Compton. Real motherfucking cheese. You versus TJ in a fight. I put my money on TJ. I mean, we've done this before, but like, let's be honest about it, right? I think a lot of it depends on the stakes, right? If it's just a heated argument that gets physical or something, I give it to TJ because I'm not the type of guy that ever gets mad to the point of like, I'm going to punch you in the fucking face.
But TJ has Scotty experience.
Right. And TJ has done that before.
Yeah.
He's gotten angered by somebody and lashed out and punched them in the face. Well, I think if TJ lands one of them big ham fists on me, I'm probably not going to be able to do well against him. You know what I mean? And I probably give it to him if he's enraged to the point of fighting and I'm not, I'm just defending myself. You put me in a position where, like, let's say implausible position that TJ's like threatening my mom or some shit.
Yeah.
Like he comes to visit and he's all in my mom's face. I give it to me. Because I would climb him like a fucking monkey. I'd rake his eyes. I'd fucking pull his hair. I'd do everything in my fucking power to destroy him and get him to the fucking ground and break something on him. That doesn't mean I win, but I think I give myself a better chance if the motivation is defense of somebody that I love. Or like if I said, like if I was out here with him and he kicked Dinor or some shit, I'd beat the fuck out of him. Or do my or get the fuck beat out of me.
Yeah, lift up a fucking chair.
Oh yeah, whatever was near me, I'd take this fucking coffee cup and chuck it at his fucking head and tackle him. You know what I mean? I don't think I'm stronger because you have to understand TJ. You have to meet TJ to understand. TJ is framed bigger than most people. If TJ were a weightlifter, he would be like one of these like mountain ride sized dudes. That means that TJ's arm, as big as my arm is, right, as a dude that's 6'1", his arm is like half again as long as mine. And so the muscle length from his shoulder to fucking bicep is so much longer. His bones are denser because he's a bigger thing. And so just the power that TJ would be able to put into a considered attack on me.
Yeah. Even the tiny amount of weightlifting TJ did.
Right.
Made him,
you just don't understand. TJ is a strong dude. He can, like, even as a dude that doesn't work out, just because of his size, there's a lot of fucking power behind what he does. And if he gets you on the ground or gets his hands around your neck or around your body or some shit, throws you to the ground, I mean, there's not a lot of, you can do.
I mean, unless you, like, I guess bum rushing is probably where you'd have the most advantage if you, like, literally just ran into him.
Well, that's why I was saying, if it was a verbal disagreement that me and him were having that escalated and he decided he was going to attack me, I give it to him because I don't, I'd immediately, like, go defensive on some shit like that rather than trying to, like, counterpunch him or some shit because I'm not there. But once again, I see him kick Dynor. Or, pull Amelia's hair all mean or some shit. Or say some shit to her that I don't fucking like. I'm taking him to the ground as quick as I can. I'm going to try to hurt him. And I think I win in that situation. Maybe. I give myself a coin flip in that situation. But once again, those situations are implausible. TJ would murder somebody that kicked a Dynor like that. TJ loves Dynor. TJ would punch somebody in the face that treated Amelia like that within earshot of him. TJ takes care of his friends. Is Scotty a match for you or TJ? Once again, the same thing applies. This whole idea, none of us are trained fighters. Scotty and I are of similar sizes. I'm fatter. Scotty's probably in better shape physically. Right? So that gives him that same advantage, right? So if TJ just attacks Scotty and gets, or it comes to like mutual blows, I give it to TJ just based on weight class. But if TJ does something implausible, like bitch slaps one of Scotty's kids or some shit, right? I give it to Scotty because I think Scotty's going to do exactly what I would do.
Scotty also has a lot more experience with TJ.
Sure.
He knows all the fucking weaknesses of TJ and shit.
So you got like
Scotty would go right for the collarbone.
Like if you're talking about like a stand-up fight, I give it to TJ. The only hope that Scotty would have would be to gas TJ out.
Yeah.
But I think that if TJ is able to get in close on Scotty, land a couple of big old ham-fisted punches or get his arms on him and grapple him, and I think Scotty would agree. I don't think there's a whole lot Scotty could do at that point. If TJ didn't go down to whatever Scotty could land as TJ came in for him, then, what are you going to do? You could chop his collarbone, though. Yeah. Like, as he's coming for you, just give him a fucking, like, wah! Wah! Scotty would pull a pencil on him. That was the equalizer that day,
I give it a little bit more to Scotty than you, just because they've been brother fighting for fucking 30 years.
Yeah. But same thing goes for me. In a stand-up fight with TJ, both of us equal amounts of time to prep and given equal fucking gear in the ring or whatever, equal rules on both sides is what we can and can't do. I just, like, if I was a betting man outside of myself, I would bet on TJ just based on his size. It doesn't mean that he wins, but I would say I think the smart money's on TJ in a stand-up. Just the size advantage and my lack of fucking fighting training. I think Jake Paul would probably put TJ out.
Just because he's trained.
He's spending a fucking ton of time in the gym, learning all kinds of different techniques and shit. I think Jake Paul, unfortunately, would beat the fuck out of TJ.
Jamie Darkey versus you.
Wouldn't happen. Would never let it happen. Unless Jamie Darkey did some crazy shit like pulled a knife.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like pulled brass knuckles out and was kicking Dynor or some shit. Then Jamie Darkey would get the same treatment TJ would get.
Yeah. You'd have a lot better chance.
Right. Once again, I don't think Jamie Darkey would ever hurt Dynor.
Yeah.
So It all comes down to that, though, a lot of times in these untrained fights. It's not necessarily size, it's about who's invested in what. And it's also about temperament. I do not have the temperament to escalate to violence ever. I've never done it in my adult life. TJ's got several examples of in his adult life where a verbal altercation with somebody, whether it's his brother or just somebody in public that he doesn't like, has escalated to physical assault. I've never done that. I've never had that happen to me in my adult life. I don't ever go there. I get mad, but I want to hurt or kill or maim a person mad. I don't allow it to go there. This is not a critique of TJ. I'm just saying I'm not built to that. So that all brings in, right? That all brings in the fucking the question, which is at what point can you beat somebody in a fight? I'm a total pacifist. I don't like the idea of settling things with violence. I think that anything that can't be settled with words is worth walking away from. Now my lines personally are physical threats against or physical actions against the people that I love. If somebody fucking is trying to punk my mom and I see it, I'm going to grab that motherfucker by the nape of their neck and I'm going to throw them to the ground and I'm going to beat the fuck out of them the best I can. I don't care who they are. If I see somebody doing something like that to Amelia or my sister or one of my nieces or nephews or any of my fucking close friends, if I saw somebody bracing Scotty or Taylor or Chelsea or TJ, I'd be there to fucking swing because that doesn't go by me. Nobody's gonna fuck on somebody that I love, but those types of situations aside, I don't want to hurt anyone in most situations. You're absolutely right. I have that same kind of pacifism in me, but I also know when that line has to, and I'm never looking to kill nobody, but I will hurt somebody or try to if they cross that line with me, which is always, physical threats against me and mine. What if two people you love are fighting? Dude, I've been in that. In that case, you take a couple of fucking punches as you break them up because you don't want them to hurt each other because they love each other. Me versus Vosh in a fight. Who the fuck knows, bro? Who cares? Like, once again, these me versus this, me versus that. I've just got done explaining to you fucking guys that, like, it all depends on training and intent. And that's all there is. Sounds like the apple pies are here. Vosh asked for my availability a couple of weeks ago, and I gave it to him, and I haven't heard back. That I don't think that he's, like, ignoring me, but it's just always been slow DMing. I'm slow with DMing, so. What if Gorilla said some shit to Dynor? Marshall, you have just stumbled upon what I consider to be one of the most obvious of the two beings on this planet that could fuck Gorilla up on their own. I'm shocked that to this date, now maybe somebody's guessed it in the past, but it's never come across my eyes. I've always told you guys that there are two entities in the universe that can defeat Gorilla. One of them very obvious and one of them not so obvious. And you have just implied the very obvious one. Dynor, you know what I mean? Dynor versus Gorilla. You don't want to know what Dynor is actually capable of, okay? He will, if he loves somebody, he will put up with infinite transgressions from that person. He's a very loving, forgiving little animal, but I'm telling you, you push the line. Gorilla versus the Plumbo Pounder. Yeah. The only other entity that can defeat him. We'll go with that, sure. The Plumbo Pounder, bro. I'm not going to tell you who the second one is. Somebody's going to have to guess it. I don't think anybody will ever guess it. Who would win in a fight, you or marijuana addiction? Actually, a fucking band runs in from the side. Band with a steel chair, oh my God. Paul and marijuana addiction embrace. They've teamed up. Could Dinor beat Goku and Superman in the 2 versus 1? We're not going to go down this road. We're not going to do Dinor versus, okay? Get the fuck out of here, bro. Joe Biden with a 6-foot length of chain might beat Gorilla. Who knows, bro? Who knows? I don't think so, though. I think Joe Biden whips that length of rusty chain, right? He's like, come on, Jack. Come on, Gorilla. I don't want to live in a racial jungle. And Gorilla just stands there looking at him. He's like, come on, Jack. If you don't back down, I'll wrap this length of chain around your head. Gorilla just stands there. Finally, Joe has to make good on his fucking threat, right? And just whoosh, slings the chain out, and Gorilla just puts his fucking big arm up, and the chain wraps around it, and he jerks it. And Joe Biden goes fucking flying towards Gorilla. And in midair, Gorilla makes this with his hands. And as Joe Biden's body flies towards him, Gorilla just parts him like the Red Sea, showering his gorilla body in the gore at the center of Joe Biden. And then he lumbers back into the forest. That's how that goes down. That's how you pull Biden to the left. Okay, all right, fair enough. Word on the street is you're looking for some of that green. I got you. Keep it DL, though. Oh, shit. All right, fair enough. Oh, wait, I don't have to keep it DL. I live in California. Thank you, though, Odin. I can be as fucking open with it as I want. Them fried green tomatoes. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, B. Madden. Why are you so cool, Brewster? I don't know, man. California just is, man. It's the land of swag. I can't help it. Anyway, I think I've got to end this now. Get myself ready to get on the road and head to see some family today. So, have a good one. See you next time. Bye.